So there's a certain process that has to happen when we're going to buy a house. We have to be pre-qualified, so the buyer needs to know what they can afford. So let's assume that that's all happened, and we've established, and we're searching online, we're searching for houses, and I'm making inquiries. Their buyers are calling me, have you seen this house, or I saw this house, and so we've set up some showings. There's some key things that I like to do when I get into the house. Sometimes I break away from the client, they're off looking, and I'm looking at the wiring, the plumbing, the furnace, and I'm looking around at certain things to point out. And once I kind of do that mental check, I'll either kind of inside, I'll be like, okay, this is a good house. All my little bells have stopped, and now we can go and really look at it. Or we go in there and like, there's just so many things going on right now. It's not even worth staying here. And sometimes we spend half an hour to 45 minutes in the house. Other times it's 30 seconds. So as an agent, there's a few things that I'll call them red flags that I'll go in and I'll look at. And over the weekend, we saw 7 or 8 houses, and of those, 2 are interesting, right? One of them may have an offers day, and one may not have an offers day. So there could be some discussion now with the buyer as to, yeah, we like this house, but we also like this one. But this one has an offers day on this one, and this one we can wait. So now we have to discuss the pros and cons and merits of that. So let's assume that we're going to offer on the house that has an offers day. So now we got to prepare the paperwork. So we'll meet at some point during the day. Let's say the offers are coming in at 6, and maybe we met the night before or the day. And I've prepared the paperwork. So standard listing offer to purchase in province of Manitoba. I'll fill that out. I'll get all the property disclosure statements from the listing agent, and we'll review all those documents, and then we'll talk with the client. So now we'll meet, and do we want to put a home inspection in? Do we want to put a finance condition in? Are there any other things that we don't know about, that information that we need to put in the offer? So all these things will get discussed. And it could be anything from, yes, we need home inspection and we have to have a finance condition, to, no, we're not going to have those because we did all those. If we're going to do those things, then we'll have to schedule for those. So that'll be part of the process. So putting together an offer, we need a deposit check. Deposit checks are important. What do? They really hold the weight for the offer. And I've seen deals die on deposit checks. So somebody that's providing a deposit check of $500 to $1,000, that's not a lot of money, right? People can walk from deals. So when a vendor is looking at an offer coming in, we want to talk about the deposit, because what the deposit does is it says, I as a buyer want to buy this house, and we're going to risk and put up this money, let's call it $5,000, that we're going to close on this property, so that when all the conditions are released, that money is there for the vendor. Now, they don't get that money right away. It happens at the end of the transaction, but it's no longer in the buyer's hands. And it's not in the vendor's hands either, but it's sitting in trust. But if for some reason the transaction doesn't close, and that does happen, there's a set amount of money that says to the vendor, okay, that's compensation. So if that deposit check we write is $500 as opposed to $50,000, those 2 offers could both be the same number, but one's more attractive than the other. So we have to have that conversation when we're writing the offer. What do we want to do for deposit? So with that said, put together the offer, and let's assume we're the successful bidder, and we've won the house. So we now have to fulfill the conditions, right? Now we have to do the finance, we have to do the home inspection, to make sure those are in order. Those are conditions on the offer if we had any. We then have to release those. And so there could be a whole process involved in that. And that could be, could take 3 days, it could take a week, depending on what the property is. Once we're satisfied that the financing is good, it's gone to the bank and they've come back and said, yeah, we're qualified for this house, or we've had an inspection, we come in and they say, yep, the house is good, or These are the things that are addressed with it, but we're okay with that. We sign off on that. So we sign off on these conditions, and we then now have an unconditional deal. No more conditions, it's now a firm deal. Now we got to get ready for moving in. So do they have a house to sell? Are they renting? Do they have to give notice to the landlord? Or do we have a house to sell? Maybe now it's my job now to sell their house and get that ready. So that's the process for buying. There's a lot of steps that have to go into for that. And then there's possession day and all the excitement of that, and moving in. It's always a fun time for possession.